The galaxy was dying. For over 100 years, the Creel had moved from star to star, world to world, burning everything in their path. They were not creatures of reason. They were monsters. Their black ships came in silence, blocking the sky. Like a curtain of death, no one ever heard them speak. No one ever saw mercy. Now, the Creel were at the gates of the last great empire, the Zorthan High Council. The Zorthans had ruled for over 3,000 years, but their power was now fading. Their fleets were scattered. Their soldiers were tired. Hope was gone. Inside the war chamber on the high tower of Zorth Prime, the council members argued like frightened children. Alien generals shouted over each other. Star maps blinked red. Worlds were falling by the minute. We must surrender. One alien barked, slamming his clawed hand on the table. To what? To death? Another snapped. They are unstoppable. A younger officer, quiet until now, stood up. He was shaking, not from fear, but from something else. I have a suggestion, he said carefully. The others turned to him. He hesitated, then spoke clearly. There is a human ship. Silence fell. The room felt colder. One of the elders narrowed his eyes. You speak of fairy tales. It's not a tale, the young officer replied. There are old records. One ship. Number. Contact. No ID. But it was seen near the edge of the crawl system last week. It destroyed a Creel strike fleet alone. No ship can do that. This one can. The officer tapped a screen. A grainy video played. A black ship, shaped like a blade, cut through space. Creel ships exploded around it. No lights, no signals, no crew seen. Just death. And this? The officer asked, Is this a fairy tale too? An old general leaned back, whispering in disbelief. They called it a myth. But what if it's real? In the deep dark of space, far from the war zones, that same black ship floated through. The void. It had no name on the registry. No flags. No colors, but it had a word painted on its side in old Terran letters. Vengeance. Inside. A single figure stood in silence, looking at the stars. A woman, tall, pale, and built like steel. Her eyes were silver, not by nature, but by design. Her name was Commander Ray, the last of her kind. Argo, she said. A calm, deep voice answered from the ship's speakers. Yes, Commander? How many Creel ships in Sector 5? 37. But scans show they are spreading to Sector 6 as well. Ray clenched her fists. Then we move now. Argo's voice paused. Do you wish to remain silent? Yes. No hails. No signals. No warnings. Confirmed. We strike in silence. The ship powered up. Lights along its body glowed red. Then it vanished. Not jumped. Vanished. A moment later. 37 Creel ships exploded one by one, without any visible cause. From a distance it looked like stars blinking out, back at Zorth. Prime, panic turned to confusion. Sector 5 is clear. A voice shouted from the command room. What do you mean clear? I mean, the Creel are gone. Impossible. Look for yourself. More video came in, burning Creel ships, floating debris, no survivors. And then, one camera caught a brief flash. A black shadow moving past the stars. The myth was not a myth anymore. A deep space probe caught something else. A signal, just one line, sent an ancient Terran code. We were not destroyed. We were waiting. Back inside the black ship, Ray sat in the command chair. Another system down, Argo reported. Ray said nothing. Her eyes stared straight ahead, full of fire. Full of purpose. Do you think they know who we are yet? Argo asked. They will, she replied. When they scream, then why stay hidden? Ray looked at the stars and whispered, because the galaxy forgot about humanity. Let's remind them. As the ship moved forward, another Creel fleet appeared on long range. Scans, hundreds of ships. A full swarm. Any normal fleet would run, but this was not a normal ship. Charge main cannon, Ray said. Cannon charged. Target hive leader, end it fast. Argo responded, confirmed. Prepare for ignition. The Creel never had a chance. The sky tore apart. The galaxy would remember this day, the day the myth became real, the day the last human ship turned the tide of war. The galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. A single ship, dark, silent, and deadly, had destroyed a Creel fleet. No one had ever done that before. Not in 100 years of war. The news spread fast. Some called it a ghost. Others believed it was an ancient weapon lost to time. But a few, those who knew their history, whispered one word in fear and awe: human. For many, humans were just stories. Long ago, they had tried to fight the Creel, but their world, Earth, was destroyed. Or so everyone thought. No ships, no messages, no survivors, just silence. But now, the silence had broken. Far away, in deep space, the black ship called Vengeance floated between dying stars. Inside, Commander Ray sat in the control chamber. Her body was quiet, but her mind was racing. She wasn't just a pilot. She was the last soldier of Earth, the last of a secret plan born in the shadows of war. Argo, Ray said, her voice calm. Yes, Commander? The ship's AI replied, open the vault, it's time. A door inside the ship unlocked with a heavy hiss. Blue lights lit the hallway as Ree walked toward the vault chamber. Inside was a silver capsule, sealed for centuries. She placed her hand on the scanner. Authorization, Ray, Project Eclipse. The capsule opened slowly. Inside were old data drives, black cubes holding the truth about Earth's final days. Ray took one and placed it into the ship's core. Play File 1. A hologram appeared. A man with gray eyes and a tired face stood in a ruined command center. If you're seeing this, he said, then you survived cryo. And that means the Creel still live. Ray watched in silence. My name is General Kale. Earth is gone. Not because we were weak, but because we chose to disappear. He looked into the camera, his voice heavy with pain. They wanted us dead. But we were too dangerous to leave behind. We knew our emotions, rage, sorrow, love gave us power. But those same emotions made us reckless. Another image appeared. Earth burning, cities in ruin, a Creel fleet in orbit. We couldn't win through strength. So we changed the plan. General Kale pointed at the screen. Project Eclipse. One ship, one warrior. You. Commander Ray. The image faded. Ray stood there, hands clenched. She remembered the training, the long sleep, the endless hours of simulations. She wasn't just a survivor, she was a weapon. Argo spoke softly. File integrity is stable. Would you like to see more? No, Ray said. I remember enough. She walked back to the command chair, staring out at the stars. How many worlds did we lose while I slept? Hundreds, Argo said. The Creel control most of the outer rim. Only a few strongholds remain. Then we're already too late. Argo was quiet for a moment. Or maybe, just in time, the ship's lights dimmed. Warning signals blinked. Creel signature detected, Argo said. How many? Only one, a scout ship, no escorts. Strange, Ray muttered. They never send scouts alone. She powered up the weapons. Let's follow it. The black ship turned quietly and began tracking the Creel scout. It led them to a dead moon, cold, empty, forgotten. Ray narrowed her eyes. This wasn't random. Something's here. The Creel ship landed in a crater and disappeared underground. I'm going in, Ray said. Are you sure? Argo warned. This could be a trap. Ray loaded her weapon, locked her helmet, and opened the hatch. Good. I like traps. She stepped out onto the moon's surface, her boots sinking into dust that hadn't moved in centuries. The trail from the Creel ship led to a dark tunnel. She moved silently, her eyes scanning everything. She found it. A door, old, human-made, rusted but sealed tight. And on it, the faded flag of Earth. Her breath caught. This is impossible. She forced the door open. Inside was a small base power still active, lights still humming. She walked through old halls, past frozen labs and silent machines. Then she found them cryo-pods, dozens humans still alive. Audio's voice crackled in her ear. Vital signs stable. These pods were hidden from all galactic scans. She stepped closer, her eyes wide. We weren't just building a ship, she whispered. We were building a second chance. Then she saw him, a young soldier, barely 20, floating inside one of the pods. His nameplate read, D. Kale, his son. Ray murmured. Suddenly, alarms rang. Creel reinforcements inbound. Argo shouted, "How many? Too many. You must leave now." Ray looked at the pods. "I can't leave them." "You don't have a choice." She clenched her jaw. "Override shuttle bay doors," she ordered. Argo paused. "You're sending them to the ship?" "Yes, one by one. While I hold the Creel here." "You will not survive," Ray smiled. "That's not your decision." The first pod began to rise into a hidden ceiling tube linked directly to Vengeance. One after another, the pods moved as Ray ran to the surface. The Creel ships landed. Fast. Black beasts crawled out, twisted metal and flesh. Ray aimed her weapon. "This base is closed," she growled. And then she opened fire. The ground shook with battle. She moved like a ghost, never still, never missing. But there were too many. Her armor cracked. Her leg was bleeding. Her gun overheated. Still, she fought. Argo's voice returned. "Last pod received. All lives secure. Then, get them out of here." "Understood. And you?" Ray smiled weakly. "I was never meant to survive. Just to buy time." She dropped to one knee, still firing. The Creel closed in, and then a light exploded from above. Vengeance returned. Its weapons burned through the Creel like fire through paper. A drone floated down, grabbed Ray's broken body, and pulled her inside. She woke up hours later. Inside the medical bay. Argo said gently, "You broke the plan, Commander." "No," she said softly. "I changed it." She sat up, watching as young humans were being cared for by auto-drones. "You were right, Argo," she whispered. "We're not too late, we're just in time." And in that dark part of the galaxy, hope returned. Not with noise, not with glory, but with one ship. And one woman who remembered what was hidden. The Creel did not understand fear. Their minds were one, connected like wires in a machine. They felt only hunger, commands, and the need to destroy. But something strange had started to happen across their fleets. A whisper, small at first, grew louder in the hive. It was not a voice. It was not a word. It was an image, a black ship, silent, deadly, human. The Queen of the Creel sat inside her hive ship, a living fortress the size of a moon. Her many eyes blinked in confusion as reports arrived. Fleets were vanishing. Scouting parties destroyed. No transmissions, no survivors. Just silence and wreckage. She reached into the hive mind and felt something new. It was cold. It was fear. Impossible. She hissed. She had ruled for 1,000 cycles. She had broken empires, burned stars, and crushed every army. But now, the hive was shaking. Far across the galaxy, the black ship Vengeance moved like a shadow through the stars. Inside, Commander Ray stood in the central command room, surrounded by soft red light. "How many Creel fleets remain in this region?" she asked. Argo replied, 12. "But 4 of them have gone into retreat." "Retreat?" Ray's eyes narrowed. "That's not their way. They are learning," Argo said. Ray looked at the screen. "No, they're not learning. They're feeling. That's worse." She stared at the map. "Show me the Zorthan systems." The screen blinked. displaying clusters of alien colonies barely holding together. "They're next," she said. "If the Creel don't get them, the fear will." In the Zorthan capital, panic was rising. Inside a wide chamber filled with high-backed thrones and flickering screens, the ruling council met in fear. Alien diplomats shouted. Generals argued. News reports played on the walls. Creel ships destroyed. In seconds, ghosts in the sky. Civilians whispering about the return of the humans. "We don't even know if it's real." One elder shouted. "We've seen the footage," another snapped. "Creel ships turned to ash by something we can't track." "Or someone," said a third voice, calm, cold, and confident. The room fell silent. A tall figure stepped forward. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes sharp like blades. She was the Zorthan intelligence director, known only as Asha. "We have new proof," Asha said. "A signal captured from the destroyed moonbase. Human design. Ancient Terran code. This isn't fiction. This is history returning. Why would the humans come back now?" A counselor asked. Asha smiled slightly. "Maybe they never left." She pressed a button. A new video appeared, grainy, shaky but clear. A black ship, firing no weapons. Just passing above a Zorthan mining station. But then a Creel attack. Out of nowhere. 5 enemy ships. The black ship turned around, and in less than 10 seconds, the Creel were gone. Not destroyed with visible weapons. Not chased away. Just gone. The station's camera zoomed in on the ship. For just 1 second, a face appeared. Human. Ray. Asha looked at the council. The humans were always a problem. Too emotional. Too unpredictable. But now they're our best chance. Another general spoke up, worried. Or our worst threat. On the ship Vengeance, Ray looked at a blinking red light on the control panel. "Asha is trying to contact us," Argo said. Ray frowned. "Block it." "Not yet." "Why?" "Because they still don't trust us." "And they're right not to." Argo paused. "They may offer help. They may also betray us. Let's see what they do next." Suddenly, alarms rang. Enemy ship detected. Creel class, but different. Ray turned to the screen. A single Creel ship floated in space, engines off. No movement, no power. "Is it a trap?" "No, life signs inside." "One." Ray leaned forward. "Prepare for boarding." The docking was silent. Ray stepped into the Creel ship, weapon ready. The walls pulsed like living skin. The air smelled of rotten fire. She moved slowly, and then she found it. A Creel drone, damaged, its body covered in scars. Its limbs shaking, but it wasn't attacking. It was trying to speak. Its voice was broken, strange, like static. "We remember." Ray froze. The Creel never spoke to their prey. "We remember fire, earth, rage." She pointed her weapon at it. "What are you?" The drone twitched. "You are the storm in our mind. The fear, the scream." It lifted its head and looked at her. "Save us. Or kill us." Then it collapsed. Dead. Back on her ship, Ray stood in silence. "What does this mean?" Argo asked. "It means we're inside their heads now," she said. "They're not just scared of us. They're broken." Argo hesitated. "Should we strike now? End it all?" Ray shook her head. "No, not yet. Let them feel it. Let fear spread." She walked to the observation window and looked at the stars. "This war is no longer about weapons," she whispered. "It's about belief. The Creel believe we're monsters. Let's prove them right." Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Creel fleets stopped mid-flight. Colonies reported dark shapes passing in the sky. Communications were lost, but no attacks followed. Just fear on one outer world. A group of children saw a shape fly overhead and screamed. The elders looked up and fell to their knees. "A god has returned." One whispered, "On another world, A Creel nest collapsed without a fight. The drones inside killed themselves. On a trading station, a single sentence appeared on every screen. "We are still watching." And then blackout. At the Zorthan capital, the council grew more afraid. Asha stood alone in her chamber, reviewing files. Her screen flashed again, an incoming message. No source, no trace. Just words. "Fear is the weapon you gave us." She smiled. Slightly. "They're playing the game well," she whispered. And then she sent a reply into the void. "Let's talk." The stars outside the ship were quiet, but inside the black vessel, Commander Ray stood in front of a sealed door. Red lights blinked across the control panel, and her reflection looked tired, older than her face showed. "Open the lower archive." Ray said. Argo, the ship's AI, responded in its usual calm voice. "Archive 3 contains classified files. Access requires voice and Genaprint." "You have both," Ray replied. The door opened with a soft hiss. Beyond it was a narrow chamber, cold and dark. Inside were rows of steel drawers, each holding pieces of Earth's forgotten past. Ray stepped forward and pulled out a small black cube. She held it in her palm. "This is where it began," she whispered. She inserted the cube into the console. A blue hologram appeared, a spinning globe. "Earth." Then a voice played. It was her own, recorded centuries ago, before she entered cryosleep. "We were never like the others. Our strength was not in numbers. It was in pain, in love, in the fire. Inside us, that is the human code." Our RGO's voice returned. "Commander, why access this now?" Ray looked at the stars through the viewing window. "Because we're not fighting with weapons anymore. We're fighting with belief. The galaxy fears what they don't understand. It's time they understood what made us dangerous in the first place." Far across space, in the ruins of a dead world, Ray landed the ship. The planet was once used as a test site, a secret place where early versions of the Vengeance Project were developed. The air was thin. The skies were gray. Mountains of scrap metal and ruined drones filled the valleys like a graveyard. Argo powered down the engines. No signs of life, but energy readings match old Earth tech. "Good," Ray said. "Let's wake the ghosts." She stepped out, her boots crunching on dry soil. Rusted machines groaned in the wind. She moved through the forgotten base. Deeper underground, where the walls still hummed with stored power. Then she found it. A giant screen. A chair. And a helmet attached to cables. The emotion core. Back when Earth was losing the war, its scientists discovered something new. Human emotion, raw and unfiltered, could be converted into power. Grief could create shields. Rage could charge weapons. Hope could power faster than light engines. It was dangerous. Unstable. Some said it drove people mad. But it worked. Ray placed her hand on the control panel. Memories sync. Personal logs. Start session. The screen blinked. Scenes from her past flashed: her training, her first loss, the war, the day Earth faked its death. She sat in the chair and placed the helmet over her head. "I need to remember," she whispered. Flood of pain, fire, and memory rushed through her. Her heart raced. Her breathing grew sharp. Images of burning cities, screaming voices, and promises made to the dead filled her mind. But she didn't look away. She welcomed it, because that was the code: to feel everything, to carry it all, and to keep going. When the helmet powered down, Ray stood slowly. Her eyes were wet, but her spine was straight. "Still human," she said. Argo's voice returned. Multiple signals detected. Creel fleet incoming. Small group 5 ships. "Testing us again," Ray said. "Most likely. They're probing for weakness. Then let's show them what strength looks like." Back on the ship, Ray activated the new emotional core wired directly into Vengeance. The lights turned crimson. The ship hummed louder, as if breathing. As the Creel fleet entered orbit, Ray locked in targets. Full silence mode, she said. No warning, no mercy. The ship vanished, reappearing behind the Creel formation. Within seconds, 3 ships exploded. The 4th fired wildly in panic. The 5th tried to escape. Let it go, Ray ordered. Let them carry the story. As the last ship fled, Ray watched it disappear into the stars. They'll talk, she said. They always do. Meanwhile, in the Zorthan capital, panic was turning into something else: hope. News of the mysterious human ship had spread like fire. Entire systems reported sightings, not of attacks but of rescues. Creel colonies found burned, abandoned, survivors saved. Children untouched. Why would they help us? A counselor asked during a closed meeting. Asha, the intelligence director, stood beside the window, watching the storm clouds roll over the city. Because that's who they were, she said. And maybe still are. The council was quiet. Then Asha spoke again. But don't forget, humanity was not only built on love. It was built on rage. If we try to control them or betray them, they won't warn us. They'll end us. Back on Vengeance, Ray stared at the screen. A message had come through. Asha's voice, calm and clear. Commander Ray, we don't want war with you. We want to understand. What do you want? Ray paused, then answered. I want to end the Creel, and I want the galaxy to stop pretending. Humans were a mistake. Asha replied. Then maybe we want the same thing. Argo turned to Ray. Do we trust her? No, Ray said. But we'll use her. She looked at the stars again. Prepare a message to the galaxy. What should I say? Argo asked. Ray took a breath, then spoke clearly. You feared us because you thought we were like you. We're not. We don't run from pain, we carry it. We don't hide from fire, we become it. We are the last code Earth ever wrote, and we remember everything. The message was sent. The galaxy listened. And somewhere deep in the dark, the Creel Queen opened her many eyes and screamed. The Creel Queen had made her choice. She would no longer fight the human ship with claws, teeth, or fleets. That had failed. Instead, she would use the one weapon no living species had survived before, the mind web. In her dark chamber at the Podvard heart of the hive, she reached out across space. Her body pulsed with cold power. Thousands of drones connected with her. Their thoughts became one. Together, they focused on a single target, Commander Ray, light years away, inside the black ship. Vengeance, Ray sat at her console. Her eyes scanned the star maps, searching for the next Creel stronghold. Argo spoke softly in the background. Creel activity in Sector 9 has dropped by 60%. Their drones are withdrawing. They're scared, Ray said. Double quotes, yes. But they're also planning something. Their movements feel strange. Ray's eyes narrowed. Trap? Possibly, Argo replied. Or something we've never seen before. Suddenly, Ray felt something cold at the edge of her mind. A whisper. Not a voice, but a pressure like fingers trying to open a locked door in her thoughts. She stood up fast. Something's wrong. Then, everything around her shifted. The lights flickered. Her vision blurred. She grabbed her head. Argo system check. No answer. The ship vanished. Ray was no longer on Vengeance. She was standing in a burned forest. Flames crawled along the black trees. Smoke filled the air. In the distance, she saw a ruined city Earth, or what was left of it. No. She whispered. She turned in a slow circle. Everything looked real. The heat, the ash, the pain. Then she heard a voice deep and hollow. You fear this place. A figure stepped from the fire. It wore Ray's face but twisted darker. You fear your failure. Ray stepped back. This isn't real. The dark version of her laughed. It's real enough for your mind. Suddenly, the ground cracked. Hands burned and broken rose from the soil. Faces appeared. Her team. Her friends. The ones who died in the war. You left us. one whispered. You let us die. Another said. Ray fell to her knees. The voice returned. You are alone. You are broken. Your code is not strength. It is weakness. Ray gritted her teeth. This is a Creel trick. But the pain felt too real. The sorrow too heavy. The Creel Queen, linked to Ray's mind through the web, smiled from her throne far away. She thought victory was close. Then Ray stood up. Her hands shook, but her eyes were full of fire. You made a mistake, she said. Sky above cracked. The illusion broke for a second, but then returned, more violent than before. You think pain will stop me? Ray shouted. Pain built me. She reached into the fire. She pulled her own memory out, a small girl running through the ruins of Earth, her real self, scared, crying. I was that girl, Ray whispered. But I survived. The dark version of Ray screamed. The voices around her roared. The forest twisted, becoming sharp and black. The Creel Queen pushed harder into Ray's mind. But Ray didn't run. She moved forward. Every painful memory came back, her family dying, her planet falling, her soldiers screaming. She let it all in, because that was the human code. To feel, to break, and still rise. She pushed back. Her thoughts became blades. Her rage became fire. Her grief became light. The dark ray screamed again and vanished. The forest burned away. The Creel Queen gasped in pain. Her drones staggered. The hive mind trembled. Ray opened her eyes. She was back on vengeance. Argo's voice returned. Commander. Mind interference detected. You were unconscious for 4 seconds. Felt like 4 hours, Ray said, breathing heavily. You were attacked by the Creel web, a deep neural strike. Ray sat down slowly. I know. I saw them. I saw. Do you need medical? No, she interrupted. I need them to know I'm still standing. She walked to the main control panel and sent out a single message. It wasn't words. It was an emotion. A burst of pure human thought, rage, sorrow, strength. Across the galaxy. Every Creel hive screamed. Their minds echoed with the same feeling. Fear. Real fear. The kind they were never supposed to feel. The Queen collapsed to her throne. What? Is she? A drone asked from the edge of the web. The Queen answered in a voice full of dread. She is what we tried to erase. She is what we should have killed completely. She is the code. Back in the Zorthan Council Hall, Asha watched the new reports. Creel hives shutting down. Drones falling. Ships crashing with no reason. What's causing it? A general asked. Not a weapon, Asha replied. Something worse. She pointed to a screen showing the black ship floating alone. A human mind. Inside vengeance, Ray leaned back in her chair. Her heartbeat slowed. Her breathing calmed. The Creel had tried to break her from the inside. They had failed. Argo. She said, prepare the next course. Coordinates? To the Creel Queen, direct path. Argo hesitated. That is the heart of the swarm, I know, Ray said. Let's finish what we started. She looked out at the stars. You reached into my mind, she whispered. Now I'm reaching into yours. The ship powered up. Red lights blinked. And the war changed again, not with weapons, not with armies, but with thought. With the mind of a human. The galaxy had gone quiet, not because the war had ended, but because something strange was happening. The Creel were retreating. Not everywhere, but enough that even the smallest colonies noticed. For the first time in generations, the stars were still. Inside the black ship Vengeance, Commander Ray watched the star map as red lights blinked out one by one. They're scared, she said. Argo replied, confirmed. Creel forces have pulled back from 24 systems. They're preparing for something big, or they're falling apart. Perhaps both. Ray leaned forward. Either way, it's time we do something they won't expect. Far away. In the Zorthan capital, A private meeting was held in a sealed chamber. Representatives from 6 different species sat at a long table. The air was tense. The Zorthan intelligence director, Aisha, stood at the head. "We cannot win this war alone," she said. A scaled diplomat from the Seraxi Alliance hissed, "We've survived this long without humans. Why change now?" A furry warrior from the Lagrim huffed. "Because the Creel are bleeding, and we didn't make them bleed." "Something else did," Asha replied. "Something with a name." She tapped a button. A Hala image appeared above. "The table, a black ship floating among stars. And it's time we speak to it." Vengeance received the call hours later. Argo reported calmly. "Encrypted signal. Zorthan origin. Multiple species on the line." "Patch it through," Ray said. The screen lit up with the faces of alien leaders, some curious, some nervous, some angry. Asha stepped forward in the feed. "Commander Ray, we want to talk." Ray stayed silent for a moment, then answered, "Why?" "Now, because we want to fight the Creel with you." Ray laughed quietly. "You waited until we broke their back before you remembered how to stand." The Seraxi diplomat spoke, his voice dry. "You are powerful, but not enough. There are still billions of Creel." "I never asked for help," Ray said. Asha stepped forward again. "We know, but we're offering it anyway." Ray stared at the screen. "What's the catch?" Asha didn't blink. "No catch. Just survival." There was a long pause. Then Ray spoke again. "I don't care about your politics. I don't trust your alliances. But if you want to stop the Creel, meet me at Grid. Point Sigma 5. Bring fighters, not diplomats." She cut the signal. "Was that wise?" Argo asked. "No," Ray said. "But it was necessary. Sigma 5 was a dead zone. No stars, no colonies, just cold, empty space. It was the perfect place for a test." Vengeance arrived first. Ray waited. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Then ships appeared. Small at first, 1 from the Seraxi, 2 from the Lagrim, then more, Zorthan fighters, coalition cruisers, even pirates from the Edge systems. Dozens of ships floated in formation. Argo ran a scan. 29 ships, armed, waiting. Ray stood and looked out at them, open channel. A moment later, her voice echoed across all bridges. "This is Commander Ray. You've all heard stories. Most of them are true. I don't care why you're here. I don't need loyalty. I need action." A quiet silence followed. Then a voice answered. "I'm in," said a Lagrim pilot. "Us too," said a Seraxi commander. 1 by 1, ships confirmed. The alliance had begun not by treaties, but by fear and fire. Their first mission was a Creel. Factory World-Nex AR-9. It built hive drones faster than anyone could count. Attacking it was suicide. Perfect. Ray led the charge. Her ship cut through the Creel defenses like a blade of fire. The Alliance ships followed, messy, uncoordinated, but full of rage. The battle lit up the skies of Nexer 9. Missiles roared. Lasers burned. For the first time, the Creel were pushed back from their own stronghold. In the final strike, Vengeance charged directly into the factory core, dropped a seismic spike, and pulled out before it detonated. The explosion cracked the surface of the planet. Nexer 9 went silent. Ray stood in the command chamber, watching the aftermath. Argo spoke. "Factory destroyed. Losses minimal. Alliance morale rising." "They're not soldiers," Ray said. "Not yet, but they're learning." Argo paused. "Incoming transmission." "From who?" "No signal tag. Just this." The screen blinked. A message appeared. "We knew you would return. We've been waiting." Ray's eyes widened. "Source?" she asked. Argo replied, "Unknown." Signal came from the surface of Nexer 9, underground level. But the planet's gone. Not all of it. Ray narrowed her eyes. "Prepare a landing team. We're going back." The team dropped into the smoking ruins of Nexer 9. Most of the surface was molten metal and dead hive structures. But below, sensors showed a strange signal, something alive. They reached a sealed bunker. Ray forced it open with a plasma cutter. Inside, deep in the dark, were humans. Frozen. Hidden in cryo-pods. Argo spoke through her earpiece. These are pre-collapse units. Age, 700 years. Ray's heart pounded. They weren't just survivors. They were part of Earth's backup plan. One pod opened. A man gasped and sat up. He blinked at the light, his face young and confused. He looked at Ray. "You're real," he said. "So are you," she replied. His voice cracked. "Project Ark. We were sent here before Earth fell." Ray nodded. "And now you're waking." Up, the man looked around. "How bad is the war?" "Bad," Ray said. "But we're winning." Back on Vengeance, the new survivors were taken into recovery. Ray stood in the medbay, watching as doctors worked. Argo's voice came through. "This changes everything." "Yes," Ray whispered. "We're not the last anymore." She looked at the stars. Earth isn't just memory. It's returning. And far beyond, in the deep hive where the Creel Queen watched every move, her hive mind trembled again, not because Ray had destroyed a world, but because she had found something even more dangerous. Hope. The stars felt colder. Commander Ray sat alone in the Vengeance war room. The lights were dim, the ship quiet. Outside, the new Alliance fleet circled above a broken Creel colony. The mission had been a success, but Ray's mind wasn't at peace. She kept replaying one message over and over. "There's a traitor among them." It came from one of the humans recently found in cryosleep on Nexer 9. His name was Eli Brandt. He'd served in Earth's Shadow Command 700 years ago. And as soon as he woke up, he whispered a warning. "Someone in your alliance works for the Creel." Ray didn't want to believe it. But something inside her already knew it was true. She stood and opened a private channel to Argo. "Run a deep scan," she said. "All Alliance leaders, backgrounds, comes, anything strange. Look for signs of Creel tech or code." Argo replied, "Already started, Commander. One thing. There's encrypted chatter between Zorthan diplomat Asha and an unknown relay." Ray frowned. "Show me." The screen blinked. A short video played. Asha speaking in the shadows. "I've given them what they asked. Humanity is growing too strong. They'll bring chaos again." The video ended. Ray felt like the air had left her chest. "Is it real?" she asked. "Signal confirmed. Timestamp matches our last battle. The data is authentic." Ray turned away. "I trusted her," she whispered. Later, Ray stood before the Alliance Council in orbit. Leaders from all species appeared on the hologram screen. "We've won many battles," Ray said. "But I received evidence that someone in this room is working with the Creel." Gasps and shouting filled the call. Asha stepped forward. "You accuse us without proof?" "I have proof," Ray said. She played the video. Silence fell. Asha's eyes stayed cold. "You misunderstand," she said calmly. "I did speak to the Creel, but not for betrayal, for peace. I thought I could stop this war without more blood." "You gave them intel," Ray snapped. "That's not peace. That's surrender. They would have spared the rest of us." Asha shouted back, "You humans keep pushing." "The Creel were ready to retreat, but you kept hunting them." Ray took a step forward. "They killed Earth. And you want revenge. I want survival." Ray stared at her. "You sold us out." Asha didn't answer. The Lagreen captain growled. "I knew the Zorthans were too quiet." The Saraxi commander hissed. "We trusted you." The Alliance began to fracture right there, but Ray raised her hand. "This is not the time to split." She said, "We finish this war, then we deal with traitors." The leaders nodded slowly, but they agreed. Asha stood quietly, then shut off her signal. Argo spoke into Ray's ear. Her ship is moving, leaving formation, she's running. Let her go, Ray said. We'll find her again. But the betrayal cut deeper than Ray expected. That night, alarms blared across Vengeance. Security breach, engineering deck. Ray rushed down with the strike team. Smoke filled the halls. Power flickered. Inside the core, a soldier lay bleeding. He pointed to a control panel. She planted something. They found a small, nearly invisible Creel device, a beacon. If it had activated, it would have sent their location to the entire Creel hive. She had tried to kill them all. Argo said. We're lucky it failed. No, Ray said, her voice hard. She didn't want to kill us. Not yet. She wants us. Watched. She wants to know our next move. Ray stared at the device. She's not acting alone. In a hidden Creel chamber on a dead moon, Asha knelt before a strange figure, not a drone. Not a queen, but something worse. A human Creel hybrid. Flesh and bone wrapped in metal. A survivor from an old experiment. You promised safety. Asha said, shaking. The creature spoke in a deep, broken voice. We promised silence, and you failed. I gave you the ship's location, the plans. What more do you want? The creature moved closer. Everything. Suddenly, claws struck from the shadows. Asha screamed, but it was short. She was no longer useful. The Creel didn't need traitors anymore. They needed soldiers, and they were making something new. Back on Vengeance, Ray stood before her crew. War isn't over, she said. We've hurt them, yes. But now they're changing. We saw the Queen. We saw the hive. But something new is coming. She looked at Eli Brandt, the old human from the cryopod. He stood beside her now, dressed in black armor from a forgotten war. They've taken our science, our minds. Maybe even our bodies. We face an enemy that learns fast. A crew member asked, and what do we do? Ray's voice was cold. We stop learning too. We stop talking. We stop trying to understand them. We finish this. Her eyes locked on the map. Next. Target is the hive core, the last one. Argo asked, are you ready? No, Ray said. But we're going anyway. That night, she sat alone in her quarters. She pulled up Aisha's final message. You humans always wanted to be the fire. But fire burns everyone. Ray whispered. Back. No. Fire lights the dark. And outside, the stars waited. So did the Creel. And so did the end. The ship was quiet. Too quiet. Commander Ray stood alone on the bridge of Vengeance, staring out at the stars. Behind her, the crew worked in silence. Every person aboard knew what this day meant. It was the final assault. The Creel hive core had been found buried deep in a dying red star, protected by gravity fields, living armor, and a swarm of drones larger than anything they had seen before. Aragio's voice broke the silence. All ships are ready. The Alliance fleet awaits your order. Ray didn't answer right away. Her eyes were locked on one thing. A small charm hanging near her screen. It was from Earth. A piece of home. All that was left. She took a breath. Patch me through to the fleet. A moment later, her voice echoed across every ship. This is Commander Ray. You all know why we're here. The Creel didn't just destroy Earth, they tried to erase us. Our history, our families, our voice. But they failed. She paused. Today we end this war, not with fear, not with surrender, but with fire. A chorus of voices answered, for Earth, for freedom, for vengeance. The fleet moved like a wave of light. Ships of every kind human, Serexy, Lagrim, Zorthanal pushed toward the burning star where the Creel hive hid. As they drew closer, the Creel came, thousands of them. Drones, leviathans, bioships pulsing with strange energy, the space between. The fleets turned into chaos. Missiles screamed, lasers danced, bodies, metal and flesh floated in the cold dark. Ray flew straight into it. Vengeance led the charge, its black armor absorbing blast after blast. Her fingers gripped the controls. "Target the hive gates," she shouted. Argo replied. "Hive shield is strong. Multiple layers. Power sources deep in the star. We're going in." "Commander, that's a death run." "I know." She smiled. "Let's make it count." Eli Brandt stood beside her, armor shining, weapon ready. "We won't get a second chance," he said. "Then we won't need one," Ray replied. They entered the Creel hive. The walls closed behind them. Like a mouth, darkness surrounded the ship. Inside, the hive was alive. Flesh and metal twisted together. Eyes blinked from the walls. Voices whispered. Argo spoke. "I'm detecting thoughts. Signals. They're inside the systems." "They're trying to confuse us," Ray said. "Ignore it. Go for the core." Suddenly, the Queen spoke. Her voice echoed from the walls, soft and cold. "You fight well, little flame, but fire dies." Ray answered without fear. "Not this." 1. They reached the hive core. It was massive, a living heart, pulsing with energy. Around it floated thousands of smaller Creel, a wall of flesh and death. "I've got one shot," Eli said, aiming a massive core detonator. "This will overload their systems. But we won't escape in time." Ray stared at the core. She thought of Earth. She thought of every human who died, screaming in space. Then she looked at Eli. "Set the charge," she said. "And get out." He frowned. "What?" "You heard me. You're not staying here." "I have to. This ship's the only thing strong enough to hold them back while the core goes. I won't leave you." "You will," Ray said, putting a hand on his arm. "Because someone has to tell the story." Tears filled his eyes. "You're a damn fool," she smiled. "I've been called worse." Eli gave a short nod and ran. Ray turned to the heart of the Creel hive and pushed vengeance forward. The ship crashed into the core chamber. The Creel swarmed her. They tore at the ship, screamed in her mind. But she didn't stop. "I'm coming for you," Ray whispered. Argo's voice trembled slightly. "It has been an honor, Commander." "Same to you, old friend." The detonator activated. Everything turned white, then fire. Then silence. Far outside the hive, the Alliance ship saw the star collapse. The Creel fleet stopped moving, all at once, as if their minds had gone dark. Then one by one, they fell. Exploded. Or simply died in place. War was over. Weeks later, Eli stood on a rebuilt colony called Hope's Reach. Survivors gathered under a new flag. A flag of Earth. He stood on a stage, looking at the crowd. "She didn't die," he said. The people looked confused. Eli continued. "She became something else. Her fire didn't burn out. It lit the whole galaxy." The crowd stood in silence. Then, slowly, they clapped, and above them, ships flew again. Not to fight, but to rebuild. To remember. To begin again. In the deep black of space, a piece of vengeance floated in silence. The eye inside flickered, then a single light blinked on. "Commander." "Ray." And in the dark, fire still lived.